All right, welcome. We now sit in with District 27 candidate Maclovio Perez. Thank you for being here so much.
Thank you very much, Karina. It's a pleasure to be here in the crossroads.
Absolutely. Well, you already know how it's like.
Sure.
Let's get right into it because, you know, we're on a time crunch.
Yeah.
What are the 3 things you want to accomplish if elected into Congress?
Well, I'm running for District 27, and I believe that as taxpayers, we should get back some of the taxes that we send to Washington. So we need part of that infrastructure that's with Build Back Better. We need to improve jobs. We need to have more housing. Obviously, affordable housing is a big issue.
Right.
And bottom line, I'd like to see that we return to a more reasonable, rational discussion. I don't believe the country can live, we can sustain ourselves like this, being at each other's throats and arguing on which way up is. Right. There's a lot in the middle, but there's a lot of forces that are trying to separate us, and we're neighbors. Our kids go to school together. We live here. We've grown up here. So what? What? Are you leaving? No, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. So get along. I mean, we got to get along with our neighbors.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up because that brings us to our next topic of immigration.
Sure.
So how can we ensure the safety of Americans while also, you know, holding on to that statement that says we are a nation of immigrants when it comes to immigration and border? It's
a big, broad subject, but my view is that we deserve the right to know who's here, and we deserve the right to know who's coming in and who's going out, okay? In my world that I know of, there's about 30 million immigrants in the United States right now working in the job force, been here 5, 10, 15 years, and we're benefiting from their low-skilled wage because our prices are lower. Think of all the restaurants and the hotels and the housekeepers, the mamas that need a nursery maid. So I would like to take that population and just give them an EIN number, make them 1099 taxpayers. So I would convert those guys, register them, know who they are, where they live. Vast majority, I'm not saying there's no crime, but the vast majority are people looking for work, looking for a better life, looking to pull themselves out from the bottom. And I had a situation where I had a housekeeper in California when I was out there who was sending money back home. And I said, why? I asked her one day, why are you sending money back home? She says, and she didn't want to tell me. Finally broke out and said, I have to send it to the gang members. Because if I don't send the money to the gang members, they'll kill my family. Now, I had every reason to believe her. Right. She was with us for 10 years. But the point is, the crook and the gang member and all that, and the economies of Latin America need to be stabilized so that people don't have to leave home, okay? So we have to work with the southern countries to figure out how we can trade. They have resources, we need resources to stabilize that flow. Otherwise, this is always going to continue.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you for that. I know we can always dive in more.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, but we have to move on to the subject of guns. Given Uvalde, you've seen the cries in Uvalde. What do you think is a feasible solution moving forward?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I have a .22 at home. I have a shotgun, and I have a .30-06 deer rifle. So don't talk to me about hunting and protecting your family and recreation and all that. I grew up as a hunter with my family down at the ranch. But the way I saw Uvalde, we had 14 or 15 law enforcement officers with .45 calibers sidearms who didn't go into that room for over an hour. Why? Because they knew they were going to be outgunned by the criminal. So do we want to live in a world where our officers are afraid to go into a situation because they might be outgunned? So I think the answer to me is bring back the assault weapons ban, because something with 17 bullets, big bullets like that, out on the streets, there's really no reason for it.
So in a real quick answer, you would agree with the banning of assault rifles like AR-15s?
I would bring back the assault weapons ban. It is a military hardware. It does great damage. And frankly, what do we use that for? Just as a status symbol? I mean, you know, if you can't take out your target or your prey with 2 or 3 shots, and you need 17, then you really shouldn't be holding a gun.
All right.
You know?
Well, thank you, Maclovio. Well, coming up, don't go anywhere. We still are sitting with Maclovio Perez to discuss more issues up next.